Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. And if you are looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today, we are doing chapter 47 of The Technician's Fight. Gralgiran stood to the side as the medics, with the assistance of the quartermaster's people, brought the pods to their species representative. Each was accompanied by their own medics, as well as a security contingent. The prisoners were still within the ship, waiting for a signal. He wanted the patients taken away before bringing them out. The only ones who would still have to be here were the only ones the only ones still here were the Kelsirians. The fleet commander had yet to arrive. She did when okay. The ones who had to remain. Were the Kelsirians. The fleet commander had yet to arrive. She did when most of the patients were being taken away. She seemed to be accompanied solely by soldiers, but a number of them detached to look over the Kelsirian pods. Calm is what you want to go for, Tom said through the earpiece. Fleet Commander Oshterim Tramak Delric Amar, first of her family to join the military. From what I've been told, she's trying to prove herself to the leadership, hoping to join them. No one would give me their theory as to why she's trying so hard. She's aligned herself with those against the hunters, or the gods within the command structure. There's no record of her dealing with an alpha at this point, so expect her to try to get you to do something she can report to her superior. She can report. So her superior can act on it. Which explained her refusal to call him Alpha. Either she didn't acknowledge the rank or was hoping to unnerve him. Fleet Commander, he greeted her. Captain, where are my prisoners? He sent the signal, and they were escorted out. Those who had been accepted by the other species went to those representative, while those heading to Kelser were stopped at a few paces away from him and the commander. She looked at those heading away. Displeased, but before she let him know about that, something caught her attention. What's that doing here? What are you referring to? The suggestion had been Tom's. Yeah, okay. I see what my co-scriptor was going for. This changes the reason why. So I'm gonna remove that. She knew who he meant. But even if Tom had reminded him not to acknowledge his presence as Gralgiran wouldn't. He and his pack were here. As they had been of the hunt, the station. Deserve to see. They deserve to see the prisoners off. There's an Earther within your soldiers. Don't correct her about that. Stick to what she's looking at. He looked over his shoulder. I don't see any Earthers among my hunters. Okay, that works, Tom said. How can you miss the one without fur? He's Kelsirian. Who in their right mind would? Oh, Tom said with too much glee. Someone almost forgot she's the one trying to make you screw up. She studied Gralgiran, who looked back, aiming for board. Which ones are the scientists? He nodded toward the species representative with their respective species. She glared and growled. You were told to keep some for the leadership. I never received orders to that effect. You're lying. I listened to the recording. The Admiral told you to arrange for some of them to... That was a meeting to go over the result of my hunt. Hunts, yeah, there was the space battle. And I reminded the Admiral of the procedures for orders. When the leadership tells you to do something, tells me to do something, I do it. Don't insult her. How you go about doing things is your business, he replied. I follow procedures. At least tone is subjective, Tom said, because I can tell she heard the derision too. How about the mission? All the packages destined for Kelsir are with the pods. Oh, what happened to doing things according to procedures? She smirked. He shrugged. If you insist on it, I'll retrieve it and hand it to you directly in the open, where the Federation representative will see and be able to question why one of them was withheld. She glared at him. I'll be making a full report, Captain. She emphasized his civilian rank. I'm sure the leadership will appreciate a dedication to your duties. With another glare, she ordered her soldiers to form up around the prisoners and pods, then led them away. The representative had already left. He waited until the soldiers were out of sight before facing the hunters. The medics took to the side, Tom behind them among the station crowd. Watching. Yeah. Okay. Among the watching... I'm missing... Watching station crowd. I'm gonna learn where that button is. One day. You have performed your duties admirably. He intoned louder than needed so the crowd could hear. It didn't hurt to show people hunters weren't soldiers. You have honored the gods in doing so. You can return home knowing they are proud of you. Yes, Alpha, live, for the next hunt may be upon you without notice, and you may find yourself within the forest. We are hunters. We die, so others live. They turned and headed within the ship, where, once out of sight, they would devolve into chaos as they ran to change and go to whatever they had planned for their stay at the station. Jer's head jerked left and right as if enemies hid behind every person they passed. Gralgiran tightened his arm around his heart. If it's too soon, we can return to the ship. He felt the effort needed for Jer to still himself. No, I need this. I have to convince myself I'm still safe. It was only part of your training. But it reminded me the Earthers are still after me. I can't let that turn me into a prisoner, even when they aren't there. I can't be a hunter if I do. Of course you can. Hunters aren't without fears, or I know, it's not what I mean. This fear is irrational. I doubt there are any Earthers on this station, so I don't have to be afraid. And if there were, if they tried it, you're here. I have training. They aren't getting the drop on me and whisking me away without anyone noticing. So I need to convince myself of that. And I can't do that on the ship. You smile. And you said I'd like where you're taking me. I'm not missing that for figments of my imagination. I think you will. Not long after, they stepped off the concourse and the corridors lost their shine. You know, Jer said with a nervous chuckle, when I said I had to convince myself I was safe, that wasn't a challenge to make it as hard as possible. You're safe. And the place we're going to is tucked away to avoid legal trouble. You're taking me to something illegal? Not really, but he's copying a service offered by a corporation and he doesn't want to risk them objecting. So he doesn't advertise and it's hidden enough only those who know about it can find it. And you know, about a decade ago I helped him out of trouble with some of the least pleasant members of the station. So this isn't one of those everything is perfect place. Gralgiran chuckled. Those don't exist. The only perfect place is the forest. But only if you make it your god happy, I'm guessing. No, the forest is perfect. That's what it is. It's exactly the kind of hunting grounds you've always wished for, with the animals you've always dreamed of hunting. Jared chuckled. What about those who don't dream of hunting? Every Kelsirian dreams of hunting, but if we get tired of the hunt, there are other places that will have the things we want. What if someone doesn't believe in your gods, or actively doesn't want to have anything to do with them? Are you referring to yourself? Gralgiran realized he'd never considered what his heart's future was in regard to the gods. No, I mean, I don't believe in them, but I'm not opposed to them either. But there are some on the ship who aren't fans of them. One of the medic, at least. She got into an argument with one of the hunters after the hunt. I didn't hear the details, but she walked off, telling him to let his god take care of him then. The tone wasn't that of friendly banter. I don't know what the gods have in mind for them. Turk Samian welcomes all of his children back, but he made us have will and our own desires, so he respects that. Ballads have all kind of stories around the concept, but it's one area where I think they reflect more the teller's own belief than what is. I think that, in the end, if someone wants nothing to do with the gods and the forests, Turk Samian will simply send them off to their next life. It's our decision, ultimately, how long we remain in the forest. It's our reward for a lived life, not a sentence with a predetermined length. He nodded toward the door. We're here. It opened onto a small lounge where a heavier set male left a seat, spreading his arms. Gralgiran! They hugged. I was so pleased when you messaged me. It's been too long, he fetched Jer. And this must be your heart. I've heard stories. He hugged him, and Jer stiffened and visibly relaxed before returning it. I'm glad to meet you too. You can address me as Technician Jeremy Bradshaw. How should I address you? Okay, I need to... Da, 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 da. In Federalese, you can address me as Technician Jeremy Bradshaw. How should I address you? You can address me as Perceval Gracromac purveyor of dreams, and in possession of the closest place to the forest you will find. Short of finding yourself on Kelser, Gralgiran added. The male snorted. My rooms are even better than there. Once you visit, he said, we can revisit the statement, but, he told Jer, they are very nice, and without the pretension or the crowds. I have my best room ready for you. Sync your tablet once inside and it'll list all the available settings. I've added a few since your last visit. He led them to a door. Will you have time before you have to return to your ship for my company? Either of you. I would quite enjoy getting acquainted with Gralgiran's heart. Jer looked surprised. I'll have to get back to you after. I don't even know what I'm in for, other than Gral promised I'd enjoy it. Well, You are with him, so you will enjoy whatever happens. Don't worry. Don't worry about the time. You have the room for as long as you need it. Thank you, personnel. I'll do my best not to occupy it any longer than needed. The door opened onto a dark room with the only light coming from outside. Once it closed, the darkness was total, then broken by his tablet screen as he looked over the selection of settings. Should a place inside a station smell this humid? The added setting explained why. It's on purpose. They added possibilities he hadn't considered. He selected the combination and activated it. The floor vibrated. The sounds are normal. Jerk chuckled. I'll take your word for it, because if I heard that on Einstein, I'd be calling maintenance. It took only slightly over a minute for his tablet to inform him everything was set as the sound ended. He took Jer's hand. Watch. In the distance, the sun broke over the horizon with a flash of yellow that turned the dark sky purple. Over them, stars were now visible, and the waves reflected the little of the sun. I'm going to change that because I want to keep the visible for the sun. Shimmered sky, and the waves reflected the little sun visible. The sound of the waves was now audible. Wow, Jimmy whispered. How? Gralgiran pulled him close. Questions later. Enter now. The sun moved up, pushing the purple away, replacing it with reds, oranges, yellows, and then the pale blues of home. As the light increased, the shore became visible with its sand, and Gralgiran pulled Jer with him as he stepped onto the edge of the water. He stepped to the edge of the water. His feet sank into the sand, then okay. The light increased, the shore became visible. I don't think I need that there. I'm going to remove the end. As the light increased, the shore became visible. Gralgiran pulled Jer with him as he stepped to the edge of the waters, his feet sinking into the sand, then into the wet sand, and then water lapped at them. Okay, I need to know how that's possible, Jer said. This looked like it's larger than the station. Gralgiran chuckled. The room's no lot more than 20 meters deep, standard maximum for this part of the station. Probably no more than half that. The walls are projections. I don't know how he achieves this level of realism. I suspect he stole the technology from the corporation that has the same kind of room available to the public. The water? The sand? You'll have to ask him. He didn't have that the last time I came. I enjoyed a night in a forest, watching the sky, listening to the animals. Enjoying his company? That too. He rubbed his muzzle against Jer's cheek. I don't know when I'll be able to show you an actual Kelsirian sunrise, so I wanted you to see the closest thing to them available. He removed his heart's jacket. And now I get to make love to you under it in the water. And how deeply are you going to claw me, Master Constructor? He asked the Shimbarian. You insult Tessibar. The female replied, I not have claws. Claws be things of beast. She showed them the blunt fingers to make her point. So I'm a beast. She snorted. Beasts don't have money. Friends have money. She grinned. And Shimbarian's friends take friends' money in exchange for repairing his ship, right? She looked at her tablet. How much money no beast friend has? She asked dubiously. If Tessibar wants to remain friend with this no beast, she's going to need no more than what her competitor quoted me for these repairs. He waved his tablet to make his point. You not trust Tessibar? Tessibar is the one questioning this no beast's account. She grumbled something in her language, looked over the information on her tablet, then quoted him a price. If not for what the leadership had paid for their new station, the amount would have forced him to return to Kelsir for the repairs, and placed himself within their reach for the months they would have taken, not to mention what other changes they'd decide to make to his ship. Chairs for the captain to sit in were becoming the norm on military ship. He dreaded The idea of returning to his to find one of those where he should be standing. The amount was within the range his accountant, repairs, and maintenance had reached, so he agreed, and she told him 2 weeks for the repairs. Another advantage of doing the repair at a station. They wanted the berth available as soon as possible. That concludes chapter 47 of The Technician's Fight. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter will be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read this story, it is available on Ream Story. And if you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. Links are in the notes, and with that, I shall wish you a good day.